Now I'm going to put out on our screens the MV Ruin, which is a bulk carrier flying under the colours of Malta and was last spotted 680 nautical miles east of Bosaso, Somalia in the Arabian Sea. The cargo ship was on its way to Gemlik in Turkey, carrying cargo from Gwanggwang in South Korea. According to piracy watchdog UK Maritime Trade Operations, the ship was hijacked by Somali pirates late on the 14th of December. The latest update from the UK MTO says that the crew is no longer in control of the ship after 6 unknown persons boarded it late on the 14th of December. The hijacking is the first incident of Somali piracy since 2019. While a Spanish warship, Victoria, has been deployed to investigate the hijacking, the Indian Navy was quick to respond to the incident with speed and decisiveness. A naval maritime patrol aircraft has been monitoring the ship and has flown over the MV Ruin shortly after the alert was sent out. The Indian Navy has also scrambled a warship deployed in the Gulf of Aden for anti-piracy patrol, which intercepted the MV Ruin earlier today. The Navy, in a press release, has reaffirmed its commitment to being a first responder in the region. This, of course, is another example of Indian forces responding to crisis in the local neighborhood with swift, decisive action. For decades now, India has honed a reputation of coming to the aid of countries in need, and the armed forces of India have aided in this mission once again with exemplary success. Over the next half an hour, of course, we continue to discuss this incident. What does this truly mean now for our waters? And of course, what is it that we take away from India's swift response? With me on the broadcast, Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal. I also have with me Captain Shyam Kumar. We also have with us Major General A.K. Sivaj. And I have also with me Gautam Mukherjee. Let me begin with Captain Shyam Kumar. Captain Shyam Kumar, just as an educative exercise, before we go into some of the finer details, I'd just like to understand from you, when an alert is sent out of a hijacking, what really then become the next steps of action? Captain Kumar, I'm going to request you to unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry. Thank you, Vedika. Maritime security is a great challenge for any country, and especially so when we are talking about the Arabian Sea and the Somalia coast, the Gulf of Aden. As I have been mentioning about this part, that last almost 15 to 20 years, there have been a continuous rise in the piracy operations. Pirates have been active in Somalian coast, and so the Gulf of Aden and Sokoto and this area where we have this incident is an active area for piracy. And since the naval operations are spread all over the Indian Ocean, for the Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal itself, this is a regular requirement for us. And as far as the other ships are concerned, all the ships which are going to Gulf of Aden, Bab al-Mandeb is the choke point near Djibouti, from where we go to Mediterranean and Red Sea and then cross from Suez to Mediterranean Sea. So it's a gateway to Europe from Arabian Sea. And the cargo, of course, goes from here. So therefore, this is a choke point, and since most of the ships have to move by force from this area, therefore the pirates from Somalia has been active. And the history of it is very clear, because Somalia was actively involved in the fishing off the coast of Somalia. Ever since this major other ships started coming to Somalian coast and stopped the small boats of Somalia had its own home problems. And then these fishermen have become the pirates and who have been active in this area. So in short, right now, the Indian Navy, along with the European Navy, other navies have been carrying out a corporate, that is coordinated patrol of this area, and Indian naval ships have been active in this area always. And that swift response you can see now today is obvious, that Indian warship, which was already deployed in that area, has got the message from United Kingdom Maritime Trade Organization Forum which reports the such activities of fire, flood, or any kind of security challenges of merchant shipping at sea. From where the report has come, Indian Naval Surveillance Aircraft, LRMR, P-8I Dorniers. Generally, P-8I is in surveillance, which carries out maritime domain awareness of entire Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal and reports to our war room, which has been active, which is flying over the ship, and the warship is coordinating with it. Soon, this challenge will be overcome. We have done it in past. We have carried out such operations in past. We will visit the ship. We will carry out search, board, and evacuate the crew, keep the ship, make the ship safe soon. Over to you, Vidika.
Right, absolutely. Let me bring in Major General A.K. Sivach as well into the conversation. Major General Sivach, same question to you. So if you could just explain to our viewers what really becomes the chain of command and the course of action when such information is released, because just a few days ago, sir, sometime in November, you would remember that another such ship was actually hijacked by Houthi militants. An India-bound cargo ship was also hijacked by Houthi militants. What really then becomes the course of action?
Absolutely. See, Devika, one has to understand that 2/3 of the earth is the sea and 1/3 is only the land. 98% of the trade in the world goes by sea. And the sea is so huge, it is very difficult to keep surveillance throughout the complete sea of the world. However, there are sea lanes where the trade goes. And this also very huge if you take it Indian Ocean only. It is so much that it's difficult for one country to keep surveillance and have an anti-piracy measure. And to coordinate that, number of countries have got together. They have divided the area because it has been seen in last 10 years and the piracy has become a challenge, because what has happened is there are certain countries which are poor otherwise, but they have now adopted to piracy because this is the best way to earn money. Just so the point is that to have an anti-piracy, all these countries have got together, divided the area, and jointly we are doing it, and we are part of that game plan which is working there in Indian Ocean. Now, as far as India is concerned, we have our Indian warships which are there operating in Gulf of Aden. Now, this ship, which was flagged having of Malta and going towards Somalia coast, and that has been basically taken by the pirates. And there were immediately the moment the Indian Navy was told, we have acted, and we have also got there basically a maritime aircraft which is a surveillance Dornier. Immediately they have reacted and they are now operating against that. So the point which is coming now is that the system is now become much more, you can say, in a compartment fashion, and it is working to the best of the satisfaction of all the countries to ensure that whenever any ship is being hijacked by pirates, the ship which is the closest to it is intimated and they immediately take action. And the Indians are always good in that because our warship is always in Gulf of Aden. Now, when it comes to Mediterranean Sea and Red Sea, where the Houthi rebels are now operating, that is slightly different. Now, what has happened is, as far as Yemen is concerned, that area is a choke point, and that is where the Houthis are operating, and Houthi rebels are operating against all warships which are going toward Israel. So, any warship which is going toward Israel, they are now basically diverting it, or they are obstructing it, and they are taking it in Yemen. So there the situation is slightly at a very large less, may not be anti-piracy. It is Houthi rebels are now basically operating against all ships which are going to Israel, and there are a number of other country ships have also become a victim of that. So overall, to me, it looks like that as on today, in last 3-4 years, and due to anti-piracy coordination of so many countries operating in Indian Ocean especially, the piracy has come down to quite a bit because all countries have a surveillance ships operating there, and India is part of that. And India, when given a task, is always come, you can say, with a flying color. We are one of the first respondents to act against the challenge which is given, and so have we done in this ship, which was a Malta flag going towards Somalia, which was hijacked. I suppose that hijacking is completely failed, and the pirates will be also now apprehended and handed over to the concerned police of the country. Devika.
Right, absolutely. And at the same time, I'd like to also bring in Ambassador Suresh Goyal. Ambassador Goyal, this being one of the first incidents since 2019 of Somali piracy, what does this raise any sort of concerns on what is it that we need to do next in terms of protecting our seas, and how are we witnessing now that particular landscape changing? Master Goyal, I'll have to request you to unmute yourself, sir.
Good afternoon, Devika. My two co-panelists have already spoken about the flag, Indian flag flying high in anti-piracy operations, and I think the way we have acquitted ourselves is really commendable and shows our capabilities in terms of being part of joint operations in dealing with the piracies in the area. And we all know that the Gulf of Aden is infested with the pirate. I'm going to go to two other points really here, which have been referred to by General Sivach also. He recalled the earlier incident of the so-called ship where the ownership was suspected to be Israeli. The ship suspected to be coming to India from the Red Sea into the Gulf of Aden, and which was attacked, or which is boarded actually in a very sophisticated operation by Houthi rebels, really. Okay. Now, we all know that with the Israeli attack on Gaza, Houthis have become very, very active, both on the maritime board as well as through the missile attacks across towards Israel. And Israel has been taking on the Houthi rebels through various means, even though geographically it's a bit far, but nonetheless, they are a very potential enemy as far as Israel is concerned, and the missiles have been exchanged between Houthis and Israel. That is number one. Number two, any ship now, Gulf of Suez has become again a war-prone area, simply because even though the normal trade has been taking place, but Mediterranean, which is very close to the Suez, has again become the hotbed of the naval, not just patrolling, but naval aggregation of the ships. The American ships are there, American fleets are there, simply when the war is taking place, and they are there to basically protect their own nationals and their own interest in the area. Therefore, if we bring these 2 points together, what we need to make sure is that our warships, they avoid the wartime hostilities, which are actually not isolated in the area. Houthis are part of the hostilities, and Houthis are in the region, and Gulf of Aden is part of the war theater. And therefore, when Indian naval ships are there, they are doing the patrolling, commendable that they actually have gone to the Maltese ship and rescued it. I hope that it does not get into any further trouble as far as the piracy is concerned, but I think we need to be very, very careful in terms of avoiding any war-like incidents, which is not at all uncommon now, given the war that is now taking place in Gaza.
Yes, absolutely. Gautam Mukherjee, same question to you. I'd just like to understand from your perspective. Like I said, given that this is the first incident of Somali piracy reported since 2019, what do you think then perhaps has really changed, and what is it that one needs to be prepared for?
Well, Somali pirates have been active, it just so happens quite by accident that there hasn't been any boardings since 2019, but they take advantage of the maritime law on merchant ships, which is that they're not allowed to carry armaments. They are protected, if any, if required, by Navy vessels and Coast Guard vessels and such like, which are, there for trained and combat action. Several times in the past, the Indian Navy, which is thoroughly professional, has boarded something that has been captured by Somali pirates. They come alongside in little boats, climb up the, throw hooks and climb up a ladder, and then they have guns. So this is how they do it, machine guns. So Indians have similarly boarded such captured ships, rounded these people up, and without creating an incident of actually killing them, have liberated such ships. This is going to happen again. Now, the other panelists and their basic concerns about the Houthis. The Houthis are Iranian proxies, and we are really not in their line of fire. It is more the US, though they dare not get too belligerent with the US. So I doubt that the Houthis will attack an Indian warship as such. And if we are going to go about our business mopping up these Somali pirates, you see, they're impoverished people, and fishing is not as lucrative as holding up a ship to ransom and such like. They don't actually draw it in, they just raid it and leave on their own quite often. So these are two separate things. We are very clear that we will not permit this, along with a number of our allies in the Indian Ocean. The Somalis are quite afraid of the Indian warships because we are extremely effective and professional about how we, deal with them. So these two things are separate. Houthis are not going to, by and large, attack Indian warships. Somalian pirates are no match once we take charge. We have, in one case, the Houthis boarded the other ship, which they drew into port, Hodeidah, I think, by landing from a helicopter. Now that's quite sophisticated, quite right, as General Sawach pointed out. We've routinely done this kind of thing, and will, I think, not hesitate to do it again. And particularly now, when we are underlining the Indian role in the Indian Ocean, including this particular area. Devika.
Okay, Captain Shyam Kumar, then does this cement India's position, or does it further cement India's position then as the defender of the seas in this particular subcontinent and all around? Because we have been in the past, we have a China right next to us that is looking to consolidate its ground, and China has been known to create troubles all across the world. So when we talk about India and its position and what is it that India needs to do, are we then exactly on the track where we need to be? Captain Kumar, we can't hear you, sir.
It is as I said, in the entire Indian Ocean, and in my article which I wrote last year about concerns of India in Indian Oceanic region. And when we talk about Indian Oceanic region, we talk from African coast to the Malacca, to Southeast Asian countries, even Madagascar, the southern part of the African continent, that is Eastern African coast, Gulf of Aden, and the Gulf of Hormuz, up to the Gulf countries. We look at that entire scenario for our concerns, and in that case, role of Indian Navy becomes very, very evident, and that is why we have been talking about increasing our teeth and blue water capability so as we keep a favorable maritime situation, freedom of navigation, and anti-piracy, anti-smuggling, contraband carrying at sea by mercantile, and keeping our sea lanes of communication very, very intact and secured. So all the choke points which are in Malacca, even with the this kind of operations have been done in Malacca Strait also, in the South Asian countries by Indian naval ships from 2000 onward. I have been party to these operations as warship captain. I'm also a helicopter pilot and have been operated with the Marine Commandos for almost 3 years as flight commander. So therefore, carrying out operations for BBSS, visit, board, sea, search and siege operations are entitled for any warship. They are empowered to do the policing role at sea. And anything, whether it is smuggling, fishing, poaching activities, contraband carrying activities, arms carrying activities, or if there is a belligerent country and two ships are at war, in this case, Houthi is doing it because he is, in the chain of line of action, like Iran, Houthi and Hamas and Hezbollah, they are under some reaction, and that's why he's firing against Israeli ships. There is no question of Houthi going for Indian naval or even for American ships. That will not happen. And actually what has this happened is after 2019, because of taking this, in the shade of having some kind of operations going on by Houthi, the Somalians have attacked this ship, which was not happening because India has taken a clear stand for anti-piracy role in both Malacca Strait and Somalia coast. And our naval elements, including air elements, are routinely deployed. Many of my friends, including me, have been part of these operations regularly. So I understand BVSS operations and how we carry out this. To be quick on this action-oriented organization, you get a report, there is a coordinated patrol, CORPAT, in which you get latitude, longitude, you clarify spaces in which naval ship, United Naval Forces, NAVFOR, or the UK or Spain. In this case, Spain has also carried out some help. Indian naval ships, they get areas to be designated. They carry out patrol and keep it secured. So these pirates are always away, and they are really scared of the professionalism of these naval warships. Therefore, they keep themselves away from these merchant ships. This has happened. Quick operations, quick message clearances to each other. In this case, has been done by UK MTO. Indian Navy has got the report. Maritime aircraft has been immediately diverted, flight over it, give the indication. The ship and aircraft starts coordinating. Diversionary attacks are carried out. Deterrence are created. The helicopter is already on the such ships which are in these areas. We have a helicopter capability ships. They will be deployed, will carry out quick operations, and there are a process in which the boarding party goes, helicopters are used, and after the ship is deterred clearly, we carry out a search operation, take out the pirates from them, get the merchant ship safe and return it to the nearest harbor for the safe regions. So this operation will be carried out, is being carried out, and it will be done safely. India's role is very clear in our domain. We are also the nav area coordinator. We will give up the weather warning to the ships. We have a clear freedom of navigation, United Nations law at sea, and we are operating as per that. And obviously, in the world level, our presence, Indian naval presence and its professionalism has been praised by everyone.
Okay, I'm running out of time. I'm going to leave the last words with Major General A.K. Sivaj and Ambassador Goyal and Gautam Mukherjee. Just one last question, Major General Sivaj, to you. What then is the larger message, sir, that is sent out? Because this is not the first rescue operation that India has assisted with. We have been very consistent with our help to all countries, not just in our immediate neighborhood, but around the world as well. What is then the larger message that then gets cemented as India continues on its path of being what the current Prime Minister has termed as a Vishwamitra?
Absolutely. See, Devika, there are two issues. One is that whether we are coming from brown navy to a blue navy, that is basically the threat which is now in becoming large as far as especially China is coming in Indo-Pacific. And that's why we have become a part of Quad, because it is free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific with freedom of navigation, rule-based international order, and maintaining territorial integrity and sovereignty of all nations, including minor island nations. So that is basically a job of the Navy, and that is where we are cooperating with all the navies of all these four countries. In addition to this, this is an anti-piracy. What is happening is that there are pirates which are there in Indian Ocean. Since the 98% of the trade goes there, and this is a very lucrative business which has become, and therefore they try to loot these ships. And in last about 10 years, what has happened is that there is a coordination and cooperation with a number of countries, and they earmark the area of the sea where they will keep it in under surveillance, and the area which is given to us, we are very, very, very alert, and we manage and make sure that any ship which is in danger, we immediately react. Now the question comes is, why has it again become very active that after 2019 were not active? Because what has happened is the Houthi rebels have become very active in Mediterranean Red Sea, and due to which they have also got some sort of initiative. Houthi rebels are basically not the pirates, they are working against the ships which are going to Israel, and especially they are working from Yemen. But at the same time, the Americans have also put their 2 aircraft carrier with about 10 to 15,000 naval personnel. So that is a threat to Yemen also. They understand if they come openly, the America will go all out and will make sure that Houthi rebels are taken control. Because Houthi rebels do not have a power to react or to influence this war of Hamas and Israel. So it is about 2,200 kilometers. The missile which they have, the largest, has a basically range of 1,300 kilometers. So their main aim is to create problem in Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. All the ships which are coming toward Israel are blocked by them. By doing this, this Somalia pirates, which were not active for last 3-4 years, have become again active, and that's why this is going. As far as India is concerned, one thing has to be very careful.
Right.
See, India is becoming a blue water navy. What we are doing, we have to have a 3 aircraft carrier. We have to have nuclear powered submarines, more than about 30, and then we also have to have a surveillance aircraft, which we are purchasing it from US. P-8I, we are taking 30 of them, 15 for the Navy and 8 each for Army and Air Force. So overall, I feel that in time to come, the Indian Navy is coming and truly becoming a blue water navy. Devika.
Right, absolutely. Ambassador Goel, 30 seconds to you, sir.
Very briefly, I would even take 30 seconds, because when I mentioned about the port of Aden and the Gulf of Aden being a very active naval area, you would also recall that Djibouti is very close by. Djibouti is actually controls the mouth of the Gulf, and therefore the Chinese port I'm calling it, simply because the Chinese do control the access points over there. And therefore, any operations taking place over there, while it does demonstrate the blue water ability of the Indian Navy, it also basically brings in the Chinese element there. And I think we need to be cautious about, or we need to be very open, really, even if not cautious about it. Devika.
Right, absolutely. Gautam Mukherjee, last word to you.
The Chinese have a base in Djibouti, but I think really they have not taken on any forward actions with anybody at the moment, because they're busy setting up practically everywhere. Madagascar, Seychelles, we are, and they are as well. Maldives, they are using these bases possibly as pressure points because of the very substantial pressure the Indian Navy has exerted in the Malacca Strait, which is vital to them. 80% of their traffic goes through the Malacca Straits. And we are cheek by jowl with our Andaman and Nicobar Islands right there. We're building deeper bases, and we are coordinating matters with Quad. This is very worrisome to them. They are hoping that they can make an effort, but they are very, very wary. There's also Diego Garcia, which is a very substantial base for the Europeans as well as the Americans. So Chinese are trying to pose a threat, but as yet are being as careful, if you like, as the Houthis. Devika.
Right, absolutely. I thank all of our panelists for joining us to take this conversation forward. We've completely run out of time. On that note, we have to sip into a very, very quick break.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.